There are many ways by which one can travel across the state of Rajasthan in northern India, but the train is probably the most fascinating. The journey explores the history of India's former maharajahs and mughals and begins in Delhi, India's great capital city. The streets of Delhi are full of life, and even though there's much poverty, the city is currently enjoying a degree of cultural and financial prosperity. Many historic landmarks, such as the Lal Qila, the Red Fort, are a reminder of the city's glorious past. Connaught Circus and also the 300-metre-wide Rajput and India Street date back to British colonial times. At the time of the Maharajas, the strangely futuristic Jantar Mantar was an astrological observatory. Older buildings that date back to the 16th century are also contained within the old fort, the Purana Qila, thought to be the predecessor of Delhi's Red Fort. Humayun's tomb made its mark in history as an architectural model for a more famous building, the legendary Taj Mahal. The Baha'i temple was built quite recently. Of more modest dimensions is the Ghiyas-ud-Din Tuluk Mausoleum that dates back to the 14th century. It commemorates the founder of the city of Tulukabad, of which only a fortress remains, and that is often referred to as the Third Delhi. The two-story Safdar Jung Mausoleum is also the last tomb site in India that also features a geometrical garden. The Qutb Minar Mosque is located in the area of the first of the 7 cities of Delhi and once played an important role in spreading the word of Islam. The journey now leads to the southwest. In the morning, the train reaches another important historic metropolis. Due to its numerous magnificent historic buildings, Jaipur, the capital of Rajasthan, is one of the most beautiful and impressive cities in the region. Although it has a population of 2 million, there are some tranquil areas where one can relax. Today, the city palace of Jaipur is open to the public, although some of its buildings are still occupied by the Maharaja and his family. The grand buildings of the palace are grouped around several courtyards that form part of a vast, wall-enclosed complex. The facade of the city's most famous landmark, the Palace of the Winds, is one of the most photographed sites in India. With its strange stone buildings and huge astrological measuring instruments, the Jaipur Observatory was built between 1728 and 1734 and was fully restored at the beginning of the 20th century. The aesthetic skills of the old master builders is evidenced by the picturesque beauty of this water palace. The train takes its passengers to the north of the country, towards the Pakistani border and the Thar Desert. Surrounded by several bastions and massive fortifications, Jaisalmer appears to have been a well-defended city. Yet despite its fortifications, the city was unable to successfully defend itself against hostile attack. One of the city's most famous attractions is to be found within the Jaisalmer Fort. The Jain sanctuaries, several adjoining temples. These four temples that date back to the 12th and 15th centuries are so intertwined that they give the impression of being a single building complex. Many who travel to Jaisalmer come to see its havelis. These richly decorated buildings highlight the vast wealth of the merchants who once owned them. Beyond a century-old mighty entrance gate just outside the city is a lake that was created in 1367 to supply water to the city. In the middle of the desert on the road to Rangma is the burial site of the former rulers of Jaisalmer, Badabag. The cenotaphs and striking reliefs on the tomb contain beautiful examples of traditional Rajput artistry. Around 42 kilometres west of Jaisalmer, the Desert National Park helps visitors to experience the natural beauty of the remote Thar Desert. At night, the inhabitants of the desert, accompanied by traditional and exotic sounds, display the oriental side of their culture. Traditional music and dance are part of the nocturnal ambience of the desert and create an evocative scene that is straight out of the 1001 Nights. By train, we move further south. This leg of our journey is dominated by an arid landscape. With around 700,000 inhabitants, Jodhpur is the second largest city in Rajasthan. Its streets are always busy and full of much hustle and bustle. A crucial vantage point for the founding of the city and the construction of Fort Meherangarh in 1459 was a strategically favourable ridge. A total of 7 fortified gates lead into the fort. The palace is one of the most magnificent residences of the former Rajputs. The Meherangarh Museum contains an extensive collection of historic objects that once belonged to the rulers of Jodhpur. At the foot of the ridge, beneath the architectural symbol of power of the Rajput, the supremacy of the maharajahs is particularly obvious. A few hundred meters into the city, and the tomb of Maharaja Jaswant, who died in 1895, is a splendid sight. Early the following day, and the train arrives at the next destination of this journey across Rajasthan. The old fort in the Ranthambore National Park serves as a reminder of the time when part of this nature reserve was an important battlefield. A good way in which to enjoy the natural splendor of the park is to travel by jeep or open truck. Gravel roads lead deeper into the fascinating wilderness. In recent years, the 392 square kilometre national park has become famous for its gradually increasing population of tigers. For centuries, these large wild cats were favourite trophies of both the Maharajas and the British colonialists. Thus, the majestic creatures were hunted almost to extinction. However, the seriousness of the situation was eventually recognized and the tigers were officially protected. There's plenty of food for them in Ranthambore. Today, around 40 tigers live in the national park's forests, even though on this occasion they do not appear for our cameraman. Following all the wonderful splendor of the nature park, the train timetable forces passengers back into civilization. Next, the journey heads to the southeast. Next stop is Chittorgarh railway station. Massive walls highlight the defense of the huge fortress and palatial buildings that are situated on the 150-meter-high rock plateau that towers above the city. Today, the Rana Kumbhar Palace is a ruin. The mass suicides that once took place here gave it a somewhat dark reputation. However, the behavior of the past inhabitants of Chittorgarh caused many Rajputs to think of the human sacrifices as being highly courageous. Due to the many temples that are located here, for many Hindus the fortress is a holy place, similar to a place of pilgrimage. Containing the remains of 27 Jain sanctuaries, Sat Bees Diori is one of the finest temples in Chittorgarh. The city's most important structure is not a sacred building but the 36-meter-high, 9-story-high Victory Tower, the Yaya Stamba. The Samideshwara Mahadev Temple is one of the oldest temple sites in the city. The origins of this Shiva sanctuary date back to the 11th century. However, the Shiva temple is outmatched by the Kalika Mata temple that dates back to the 7th century. Padmini Palace, the nearby lake and beautiful water palace are full of romance. Further to the west of Rajasthan is the beautiful city of Udaipur. The historic character of this intriguing city is contained within its exquisite architecture. It took 400 years to build Rajasthan's largest palace, and today its numerous buildings provide a fascinating insight into the architectural history of the city. Some residential areas of the palace are still used by the maharajahs, while other sections are open to the public. Miraculously, the Jagdish temple that is situated beneath the city palace was not destroyed by the city's Islamic conquerors. The Chhatris, the artistically designed tombs of the Maharajas of Udaipur, have also survived to the present day. The 80-hectare museum village of Chittorgarh provides an informative overview of the traditional way of life of the Indian people. For those who wish to live like a Maharaja, then a stay in the expensive and luxurious Lake Palace is an absolute must. We travel northeast and become closer to the starting point of our journey. From Bharatpur, it's only a couple of minutes by rickshaw to the Keoladeo National Park, a nature reserve designated by UNESCO as a World Heritage Site in 1981. Ironically, this beautiful swampland owes its existence to the great appetite for hunting of the former rulers of Bharatpur. In order that they could hunt through the year, the Maharajas originally designed the lake to attract the maximum number of waterfowl. Up to 4,000 ducks were reportedly killed in a single day. But since 1956, it has been a protected area. Today, the artificial lakes are calm and tranquil. Around 370 species of bird live here. Around 30 kilometres from the bird paradise of Keoladeo is the ancient residence of Akbar the Great, Fatehpur Sikri. In honor of a prophecy made by a wise guru, Sami, who had predicted a long-awaited male heir, Akbar the Great built a new residence here. However, 15 years after the construction of the new city began, most of the magnificent buildings of Fatehpur Sikri were abandoned. For both military and strategic reasons, Akbar was forced to move further north, leaving behind a ghost town and a huge mosque. The mosque's courtyard was the final resting place of the aforementioned fortune teller and guru to the Mughal Salim. His tomb is still a popular destination for those pilgrims who desire a son. Powerful, dominant, and surrounded by a 20-meter-high wall, the Red Fort rises above the city of Agra. Unlike Delhi's Red Fort, Agra's fortress was not built over a few years, but during the course of many centuries, a fact evidenced by its architecture. Several architectural styles and historic designs are to be found in the beautifully designed buildings of the Red Fort. The majority of the most beautiful features of the residence date back to the 17th century and the reign of Shah Jahan, the grandson of Akbar. Even though only a fraction of the Red Fort's 560 buildings have survived, its original dimensions must have been enormous. Apart from some truly amazing historical monuments, the city of Agra is similar to many other major cities in northern India. Heat, dirt, and hustle and bustle dominate the streets just as much as the amazing and exotic presence of numerous elephants. Agra is the most popular tourist destination in India. The popularity of this great old metropolis is mainly due to an outstanding building. Between 1630 and 1653, Shah Jahan built a unique monument here that is one of the most famous buildings in the world. The Taj Mahal, a majestic memorial for the deep love of Shah Jahan for his favorite wife, Mumtaz Mahal. The mausoleum, a magnificent example of Mughal architecture, is synonymous with India herself. Historically, culturally, and scenically, this journey has provided many colourful impressions. A journey across Royal Rajasthan, the legendary kingdom of India's Rajput and Mughal rulers.